Good morning, it's Luke here from Astro Awakening. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is Thursday, the 31st of August at 7:17 a.m. It's the end of birthday month. 25th of August this year, I turned 45 in my 45th year now. And I can tell you now, I'm actually super excited about my 45th year. I can't wait for the big empowering year of growth and transformation ahead. So thank you to all those that have reached out and wished me well on my birthday. I really appreciate that. I do try to milk birthday month. I start at the beginning of the month and really, amplify that birthday energy. Why not? What a beautiful time to celebrate life and the birth and this, journey into this strange place we find ourselves. And this being a video on the Pisces full moon, you can't get much stranger than Pisces energy. Well, maybe Aquarian a little bit. I love you, Aquarians and Pisceans. So we're going to look a little bit at the full moon in Pisces, which is happening today, actually, 11:36 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, Thursday, 31st of August. Now, it's a super blue moon, so it's the second full moon in the month of August. I'll come back to that point. The super part of this being that it's in close proximity to the Earth, in far as the Earth's movement around this physical plane of existence that we live upon. There are some times when it's in closer proximity and we have these full moons. They're known as super full moons. It's also the harvest moon because we're in Virgo season. Virgo is where you sort the wheat from the chaff and you are harvesting. So the Pisces full moon is always known as a harvest moon, which I love that Neil Young song. But also like there's some better versions actually that have come out more recently, which I really like. A bit of a beat behind them. I really can dig that shit. So potency is one thing that you could look at with this moon, and the moon is positioned pretty well in Pisces because it rules Cancer. It's a water sort of energy, a watery energy, and Pisces is very mutable. So the ebb and flow and the up and down and the changing. The symbol for Pisces is the ocean. So let me just come back to that, and I want to complete this sort of little introduction on the blue moon aspect of this. So anytime we have two full moons in one calendar month, they're known as blue moons. But I don't necessarily hold too much weight to what that is because who designed the calendar? We already know the calendar is not really aligned to the cosmic clock, with things like September being the number 7, but the 9th month, October being for the number 8, being the 10th month, Novae, 9 being the 11th month, Decade, December being the 12th month. So there's not an alignment here. And it was altered by Pope Gregory in the 13th century, I believe it was. We know now known as the Gregorian calendar that we're on of time. But it's only in our idea of culture. In Hebrew, they have a different calendar, and in different parts of the world, in different cultures, they have different timekeeping systems. So are they having a super blue moon? So that aspect of it, I'm like, yeah. If we ever have two new or two full moons in one zodiac sign, I think that's more significant. But within a calendar month, I'm like, yeah. So one thing that you've probably noticed with this period of time at least, is some increase in your dream activity. And for me personally, I've had some wild dreams over the last sort of week or so. In fact, I haven't had a night where I haven't had big dreams that have woken me up. So that is definitely a way in which the unconscious, which is very Piscean, deals with the things that are not necessarily tangible, concrete, physical, or conscious. They're sort of coming from the unconscious into consciousness. But from the unconscious, completely unaware state to the consciousness, there's an intermediary stage known as the subconscious. And the subconscious is where we tend to go to when we dream. And the subconscious is almost symbolically preparing us for shifts within our consciousness. So it comes from the unconscious into the subconscious. It starts to activate our dreams. And then there is this, conscious awareness, and things start to shift and changes start to appear in your physical conscious reality. So I would say that what we could expect ahead, especially post this period of time and into the eclipse and beyond, October, November, December, and into the year, is some pretty profound changes in the awakened conscious reality that we know, or conceptual reality. A lot of clients are coming to me on what's with the dreams at the moment, like wild dreams. So that's usually a stirring of the subconscious, ready for the shifts, changes to take place in the subconscious. The other thing about this is, there's two things. There's a lot of physical energy to this full moon, but there's also a lot of retrograding planets. Now, retrograding planets are going in reverse motion. So direct motion is things are moving in a direction. They're forward, or they're going, or at least things are happening. Reverse is like, look out, so we're sort of taking this back step. It's a really good time to pause. At the moment, you might be becoming aware, especially on the full moon, of the changes that need to occur in your life. And that's good. Reflect on those, integrate those, but maybe it's not necessarily the time to be taking the action. In fact, that will probably come post the new moon in Virgo and the end of this month in September. So at the moment, we've got retrograding energy and an overlapping of retrograding planets. Mercury and Venus are retrograde. Venus is slowing down to station on the 4th of September. Jupiter has stopped almost and is going to turn retrograde on the 5th of September. Uranus has just turned retrograde. Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto are also already retrograde. Chiron's retrograde. So it's like, okay, there's this period of agitation, the alchemical stage of just stirring things up a little bit. And in that, we can come sometimes, if we are that sort of direct person that needs to be doing things and having a plan and getting that thing, it can throw things into array. And we've got to get comfortable in that uncertainty and ride the waves. And sometimes the best thing to do is to just pause, reflect, let go. Pisces teaches us to surrender. Virgo wants, control of all the little things, wants everything worked out, analyzing, putting things into their place. That's good news. Well, that goes there. That's not. Let's put that there. And sometimes when that's taken to an extreme, it can be an overwhelm and over-analysis, which creates paralysis. Or the need for perfection creates this process of like nothing happening at all. So sometimes we need Pisces energy to balance that, to learn how to just let go and surrender to the flow. Now, this full moon is conjunct Saturn. Let's have a look at this full moon chart. This full moon is conjunct Saturn. Saturn is retrograding in Pisces and has been in Pisces since March. It's retrograding. And the interesting thing about Saturn is it's pulling back to the 0 degrees of Pisces. So it's almost like Saturn came in and went, hey, and then left the party and is going to come back in a second time. And I think we're going to feel more Saturn energy from November on in Pisces. And, Saturn deals in heaviness. It deals in restrictions and limitations, challenges and obstacles. It deals in creating a reality and say, well, this is the reality, right? And he's the master of the physical realm. So in Pisces, what reality are we finding? We're finding emotional heaviness. So this introduction to Saturn in Pisces, and we're already getting the foreshadowing of things coming with regards to COVID waves and, potential lockdowns and mask mandates. I'll speak briefly on that shortly. But the thing about Saturn in Pisces is it's opposite Virgo. Virgo is health and well-being, the mental emotional balance, the health system is definitely a Piscean, a Virgoan thing. So if we backtrack a little bit with this Saturn energy, we understand that when Saturn was in Capricorn, made a conjunction with Pluto, we had the pandemic, panic, at the disco, we had the pandemic. And Saturn opposed Cancer when it was in Capricorn. And Cancer is the home, the family, and emotional security. And what was challenged at the beginning of COVID was the home and the family, right? Everyone had to come home, right? The borders locked down. You had to come home immediately. Remember, that was coming back to Cancer. And then you were kept in your home, and you were kept away from your family in some cases as well. But your emotional stability was definitely challenged, right? Your emotional security was definitely challenged. Saturn challenging the sign opposite. Saturn then moved into Aquarius for 2.5 years, and that was social distancing, mandates, masked up, lockdowns, like all of the heaviness of that. What did that do? It really challenged and restricted Leo. And Leo wants to be and to shine and to express. Literally, our face was covered, right? Well, that was the intention. Mine never was, because fuck the system. But, you get the point. Saturn moves into Pisces, the final sign of the zodiac. We're dealing with karmic endings, undoings, but we're also dealing with heavy emotions, and we're dealing with the past. So there is this sense that the heavy emotions of the past may be coming back to sort of, challenge what? Virgo. Virgo is the health and well-being, the health system, in general. And Saturn in Pisces, this could be a lot of fear used as the tool this time, without the actual mandates, the lockdowns, and the restrictions. There may be some of that to a degree, but when Saturn's in Aquarius and Capricorn, it's really powerful and strong. Saturn deals in authority and boundaries. Pisces is boundarylessness. There is no boundary. You can't contain the ocean. It's just expansive. It's everywhere. It covers most of the earth. So Saturn in Pisces doesn't have that potency and that power. So there may be a fear, an emotional trigger to sort of suggest like there's a wave or there's lockdowns or there's a new variant or whatever. But can that be contained? Can that be kept? I don't think so, not to the extent. And I think also a lot more people are a lot more awakened to what really is going on. That's not to say that a lot aren't going to buy the fear and the propaganda, because they're almost conditioned and programmed into the fear trigger. The impact that I see, if there is to be another wave and any sort of, return to any of that bullshit, I feel it'll be really impactful on those that have chosen fear as the path out of what happened, which was to line up for the inoculation, line up for the clot shot. And my limited research into that is definitely that it's frequency or energetically activated the components of that inoculation, and that that may be something that is going to be used by those in positions of authority as a trigger to sort of think all of a sudden, the immune system is compromised, the health and vitality and well-being of people are compromised, and it's energetically whatever was in that inoculation has just been switched. So that's not to say that you can't purify and detoxify. In fact, with Pisces energy, it's about purification. You combine that with Virgo, and it's this, purification and this refinement. So if you have lined up inadvertently or unwittingly because, you had to for whatever reason, and you had to do that, and you're, feeling like, well, what can I do about it? Research detoxifying from that nasty stuff. And please do not take any more. This is, getting to the point where the path forward doesn't look great for continual, lining up for a never-ending cycle of that thing. I think it will be an ending cycle. It could be the great ending with Saturn in Pisces. So retrograding planets, Mercury ruling over the sun and retrograde in Virgo, the sign that it rules. And there's an internalization energy. There's an introspective period, like there's a deep introspective period. Saturn in Pisces is the dream, and Saturn is the reality. And it's like, what do I need to do to make the dream become a reality? And the better question to ask is who I need to be to live my dream. And what refinement do I need to do at the moment in relation to that? Now, the dream is whatever the desire is, whatever the dream life is for you, whatever you see where you can find your peace, your tranquility, your sea of oneness, right? And for everyone, it's going to be different. And we are often concerned with, what do I have to do to get what I want? What do I have to do to manifest my dream? What do I have to do, right? So we're busy doing all the time. This is a point of not so much doing. With all the retrograding energy and this crossing over retrograding planets and the ruler of the sun, retrograde itself, this isn't a doing time. This is a reflective, introspective time to sort of suggest, who do I need to be? And if you look back, and we use that Saturn in Pisces to sort of look at the past, and who have I been and how has that helped me get here? But what part of that do I need to surrender to and let go and let be and stop? Maybe I need to look at my habits, routines, my rituals, the things that I do, and sort of say, well, those things are part of that being, and I want to manifest this reality. So now I'm going to do less of those things and more of these things. And you've got to use your imagination at this period of time to sort of step into the ideal. And what would it look like, your reality, if you manifested your dream? And then who would that person be? And what do they do to reinforce their state of being? And all that's happening now is this process of sitting just with that, pondering, reflecting, introspecting, and pausing, and revising the whole life. And sort of, maybe there's not much you need to do. Maybe there's something you need to stop doing. But this is the period of time where you just allow that process to take place, that alchemical process of agitation to create the process to change. If you are the motivated, you got to be doing type, you might feel a little bit more overwhelmed than normal at the moment. And if that's the case, less is more. And the more you push and resist against that overwhelm or uncertainty or, unknown, the more ungrounded you may become. Now, Uranus was squaring the new moon a couple of weeks ago, and now turned retrograde in Taurus, and Jupiter is now about to turn retrograde in Taurus. Taurus is fixed Earth. That can be a real physical aspect to what's going on. So you might feel like heavy and lethargic, and like you might also feel the opposite of that, which is like really grounded, solid and grounded in your body. But you'll probably have some physical sensations to go with this Pisces full moon. So the full moon is an opportunity to release energy and emotional energy. In particular, the moon rules over our feelings and the emotional realms. And in Pisces, we're dealing with a lot of the, turbulent emotions. So, find a way to do the process of releasing emotions for you, whatever works for you. Be grounded. Make sure you stay grounded. The projection of any insecurity or fear at the moment, especially the unconscious projection of any of your insecurity or fear out into the world, there's going to be lots of things that can reinforce that state for you. COVID is one of them. The referendum here in Australia that's happening shortly, that they've announced it's going to take place on the solar eclipse. I'll do a video on that. Don't you worry about that. They're going to try and pull the wool, occult or conceal or eclipse the people of Australia. And they're doing it with the Trojan horse of Indigenous, right? And if you go against it, you're racist. It's all by design. So I'll be doing a video on that in relation to the referendum and what we can expect from that. But projection of the fear and insecurity at the moment is going to be stimulated and activated by all of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, whether it's economic, whether it's war, whether it's climate, whether it's COVID, whether it's the voice. You've got to learn how to disengage and detach from that. Come back to your solid rock, stand firm in your own set of beliefs and morals and values, and realize that that is the thing that's going to get you through any upheaval, change, chaos, variant, whatever. So the final thing I want to bring up here is the tarot card for the first decan of Pisces, which is the Eight of Cups. Mutable signs now. Mutable signs are the 8, 9, and 10 of Cups, and the 8, 9s, and 10s of the minor arcana, or all the mutable signs. So here we have, with Pisces, we have the 8 of Cups. Interesting thing about this is 8 is divided into 4 and 4, and you can see there's 3 cups here and 5 cups here, so there's an imbalance. So this card suggests that there is imbalance, but is also turning away from this and moving in a different direction. And you could look at that as like the imbalance, and sometimes the things that aren't quite right, we've got to turn away from those and take a new path and a new direction. What I would say at the moment, if we combine this with the retrograde action, is that you've turned away, you're letting the past go, and you're establishing this sort of orientation to a new direction. And there is going to be a new you, a more empowered you. And what path are you going to take? But are you stepping on that path right now? Perhaps very, very tenderly, very, very slowly, very, very patiently. And maybe you're just pausing and gathering the supplies. And the supplies may be your conscious supplies, right? Resolve, commitment, courage, inner strength, selfhood, right? Being rock solid in that belief structure, personal meaning and belief structure to anchor you to your compass point, right? So no matter where you are, if things become a bit chaotic, you're out in the ocean on a voyage, and the next thing there's a big storm and you lose your direction, that belief system that gives you meaning can get you to go beyond and keep your north, right? So it means that you can withstand the upheaval and the turmoil, because at the end of the day, that's not anything, that's to be concerning with. It's just a moment in time we're passing through. And here is the path that I'm on, and it's an eternal one. That's my full moon in Pisces breakdown. It's a short one this time. Hopefully you like that. There's more videos on the way. I'm going to break down this COVID story. I'm going to also, in the astrology of that, I'm also going to do the Australia birth chart and look at the referendum in particular and what I see potentially occurring in relation to that. As always, thank you. And if you want to, you've got a very small window to take advantage of my 20% off readings, regressions, healings. And you go into the draw to win the ultimate Astro Power Pack, which is a past life regression, energetic healing, and a 2024 year ahead reading. And otherwise, you can contact me and get in contact. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, and share the shit out of it. Happy Pisces full moon. Peace out.